Y'all, hey, welcome back to my channel. Thanks so much for stopping by. We are on an adventure today, folks. Let me tell you what's going on. We have this bag back here to take and donate. And where we're donating it, they give you a 20% off coupon to use to buy donated stuff. And guess what they have there, y'all? They have books. So I thought we would go and look for some books. Now, the last time we went thrift book hauling, I made myself sort of the challenge or set the parameter or whatever of only buying books I thought I would read. And I think I did okay-ish with that. I've read 3, I think, of the books that I bought in that haul so far, which is not a lot considering the number of books that I got in that haul. But we're making progress, y'all, baby steps. So for this haul, here's what I'm thinking I'm gonna do. I'm gonna buy some books, but I'm gonna focus on buying books that I'm gonna go ahead and read now. So my goal is to find my next read or reads in this thrift book haul. So let's see how we do. Well, that was a pretty good haul, y'all. I started at Savers, which is buy 4, get 1 free. So I got 5 books. Y'all, it is definitely an added element of pressure buying thrift store books when you feel like you're gonna have to read them right away. So do y'all wanna see what I got now, or should we wait till we get back to the house? I know what let's do. Let's look at them now. Then when we get back to the house, we'll sort of sift through them and decide what we're gonna read when. So first of all, I got Jemima J, which I know nothing about. I literally judged this book by its cover. It's got this lovely, like, textured cover. And I was like, oh, that looks nice. I'm gonna take that home. Know absolutely nothing at all about it. Then I got the Rosie Project, which I think, isn't this the one about the scientist that writes the program to like help him find a wife or something? Which you can imagine how that goes. But so there's that. Then I got Summer People, which I think is about a dude who gets a job in one of those like coastal summer towns. Like, let me turn off my windshield wiper, sorry. One of those coastal towns where people only ever are in the summer. So he's dealing with summer people. I think that's what this is about. The Cuckoo's Calling is a crime drama mystery about a suicide that the suicide victim's brother doesn't think is a suicide. Yeah, that's a hoss. So I'm gonna have to like really decide that that's gonna be worth reading before I jump into that thing. And then finally, If She Were Dead. No idea what this is about at all. Oh yeah, I do. Something about a person that gets obsessed with an affair with a married man. I don't know if she's actually having an affair with a married man, writing about an affair with a married man, something about being obsessed with an affair with a married man, and I think his wife too. So that could be super shady. And you know how I love shady. So let me secure these in the back, and then on the way home from here, there's that little bitty Goodwill store where we found all those good books last time. So let's swing by there. Let's see what they've got. And with the added pressure of it having to be something that I'm willing to read now, we'll just see what we come out with. All right, so let's head over that way. It was a pretty good score at this Goodwill. Their books are buy 3, get 1 free, so we got 4 more books. I got 2 Janet Evanovich books. I got one, The Rocky Road to Romance, which it says is a screwball comedy. Aren't all of her books screwball comedies? But this one I think is a romance, not like a cop comedy mystery thing, whatever her other books are. So, see about this one. Metro Girl, I have no idea what this one is because, so here's what happened was, I went to check out, I only had 3 books because they didn't have their buy 3 get 1 free sign up. So I figured that was just like a weekend deal or something. So when I got to the checkout, the girl said, oh, if you buy 3, you get 1 free. So then I had to run back under all this pressure and get my 4th book. So I grabbed this one. So I figure it was free and it's Janet Evanovich. So how far wrong can you really go with Janet Evanovich? So I got those. I got On Mystic Lake, which is a Kristen Hanna book. I know nothing about it, but I'm not sure that I'm ready to get Kristen Hanna again yet, but we'll see. We're going to sort through these and decide what we're going to read when. And then I got Flipped, which is a young adult book, maybe like high school young adult. I can't remember anything about it, but I remember that we used to like it when I taught high school. So I grabbed a copy of it. So y'all, let me head back to the house, get settled in there. Let me sort through these books and then we'll decide what we're going to read, okay? I'll see you back at the house. We made it home, y'all. I got me some comfy pants on. I got my puppies. So y'all know that means I'm ready to read. So let's talk about the plan. The pile of books I got is over there on the table somewhere, and I have sifted out the books that I think I want to start with. So here's what I'm thinking. Let me see if I can do this with one hand. I want to start with some authors with whom I am familiar, even if it's not books that I know anything about. So 2 books that I'm going to go ahead and read for sure are Janet Evanovich's The Rocky Road to Romance and Kristen Hanna's On Mystic Lake. And again, I really don't know anything about either of these books, but I know that Janet Evanovich writes comedy. I think we talked about her Stephanie Plum series, which is a comedy detective series. So I suspect this is going to be similar to that, even though it says it's completely different. But I don't think authors tend to write books that are completely different from their sort of flagship series. So that's what I think about this. I think this is going to be funny. On Mystic Lake? Y'all, there's that, what is it, Mystic River, Mystic, the other Mystic? Anyway, this is not that. This is a Kristen Hanna book, so it's got to be a tearjerker. So I think I'm going to start with Janet Evanovich and then read Kristen Hanna. And this one should be a quickie. This is like just over, it's like 260 pages. And it's like trade paperback, so that'll be a quickie. And then On Mystic Lake, and now I've got myself all mixed up about the title. On Mystic Lake, that's going to take a little longer, and there's going to be time to stop and cry and stuff, so that's going to take a little longer. So those 2 for sure. And then either Summer People, which y'all in my head, I keep calling this Lake People. What? Summer People, which I don't really know anything about this, other than that it's something about a guy that goes to like a summer town in Nantucket or somewhere, which is nothing. So I know nothing about this, except look how pretty it is. So I think that looks fun. And it's by Brian Groh, Groh. I know nothing about him either. So we've got that going for us. So either Summer People or Jemima J. I don't know why, y'all, but I keep being drawn back to this book. I know nothing about it. I've never seen it before, know nothing about the author, Jane Green. I actually had to look to make sure that the book is not called Jane Green and the author is Jemima J, because look at the cover. That's probably why I'm drawn to it, because I think the cover is beautiful. And can you see the cover is like textured, which I know we don't judge books by the cover, but I might be judging this book by its cover. So I'm going to, if I make it this far, and I think I will, because like I said, I think that Janet Evanovich book I think is going to be a quickie. So then I'll get to On Mystic Lake, and then I'll be ready for another one. So I'll do one of these 2. And I don't know which one yet, but obviously I'll tell you which one before I do it. So one looks, totally judging books by covers, this one looks pretty masculine to me. Like it's going to be some kind of like guy thing. I don't know what that means. And this one looks pretty feminine to me. So I don't know what that means. Y'all judge me for being judgy like that. But I wonder if this is going to be some kind of like emotional feeling, dealing with things kind of story. Again, judging books by covers, I know nothing. And I wonder if this is going to be less sort of like emotional development kind of driven and more, not necessarily adventure. It doesn't, again, judging by the cover, it doesn't seem like adventure-y, but more based on like the activities of the characters. So more their like outward activities than their inner lives. I know that makes no sense. I'm gonna get off here and start reading. I'll check in with y'all in a little while and tell you how right I am about my prejudgments about this Janet Evanovich book. Y'all, I just wanted to check in and give you a quick update on the Rocky Road to Romance. I'm about 3/4 of the way through, I guess, and it is exactly what I expected. It's a quick read. It's very cute. It's funny. It's not like laugh out loud funny, but I've gotten a few good chuckles out of it. Our main characters are Steve and Daisy, and they are developing a romance. I don't know if I would call it an I shouldn't love you, but I love you. She is definitely resistant. He is not resistant. But it's cute in a 90s romance kind of way. Y'all, let me warn you, this book was written in the 90s. Do not go into it with 2020s expectations. It is a workplace romance, and things that happened back then would not fly now. But it's all consensual. It's nothing like that. But just some things that I think some people might be a little put off by. You just have to maybe realize that it's in the book for humor. So anyway, it's a cute book. There is a mystery. It's got a very Stephanie Plum feel to it, of course. Like I said, that's Janet Evanovich's flagship series. So I expected this was going to be like that, and it is, which I'm fine with. I love those books. So I am going to read some more. I should finish it up tonight. And then I plan to get into On Mystic Lake tonight. I doubt I'll come back tonight because y'all, I'm tired. I've been teaching all day. So I'm going to finish up Rocky Road to Romance. I think I said there's some kind of mystery developing. I have a theory of what's going on. Steve is a bit manipulative, and he's doing some things to manipulate Daisy, which are a bit annoying to me, but from my past experiences with Janet Evanovich, I expect that she's going to clean that up in this. I have a theory of the crime, of what's going on, but I think I'm probably wrong. So like I said, I expect to finish this up tonight and start on Mystic Lake. I'll let you know in the morning how that goes, and I will let you know if I'm right or wrong about my theory of the crime. Because like I said, I think I'm probably wrong, but it's my theory. So I don't have a different one, even though I think mine probably isn't awesome. So anyway, I'm gonna get back to reading. I hope you're all having a good evening, and I'll check with you in the morning. Morning, y'all. It is the next morning. It's Saturday morning. I have a couple of hours to read and ride, about to get on the Peloton bike. So I thought I would check in and let you know. Sorry, I have my hands full. I finished up the Rocky Road to Romance, and it was pretty much exactly as I expected. It was a quick read. The conniving parts, remember I said that Steve was a little conniving, it was a little annoying? Well, Daisy saw a bunch of what was going on, so I guess it wasn't as annoying as I thought it was. Y'all, it's all just funny. It's all just meant for humor in the book. So I was also right that I was completely wrong about what I thought was going on with the mystery, or whatever, the crime drama part of the book. My prediction was completely wrong, which I predicted that I was wrong, so I was right about being wrong. But anyway, I finished that up, and y'all, I started on Mystic Lake. Let me say this. I have recently read 2 Kristen Hanna books. I read The Great Alone, which completely broke my heart, and then I read Firefly Lane, which I thought, so reading The Great Alone, I cried so hard, and it broke my heart so bad. I was laying in bed reading. Hang on, let me let this dog out. And that she's looking at me like, are you talking about me? hang on. I gotta do all the things. There we go. Let me tip y'all this way so I can walk. Reading The Great Alone, I was laying in bed, reading way too late at night, and let me back up out of the sunlight. It broke my heart so bad, I actually had to get up and walk it off. The intern was like, I thought you went to bed 3 hours ago. Saw me wandering around the house. Anyway, that was my first Kristen Hanna book, the first time I got Kristen Hanna'd. Well, then, you may have seen my vlog where I read Firefly Lane because some very dear ride or die girlfriends talked about it. One was going to read it. One had already read it. So I read that one, and about halfway through, something happened in the book. And it was sad, but I wasn't real attached to the characters, so I was like, oh, this is the Kristen Hanna-ing in this book that's supposed to break your heart, but I don't really care that much, so I'm not getting Kristen Hanna'd by this book, so I thought I was all done with that, go all cavalier, trampling through the rest of the book, get to the end of the book, and just get devastated. So 2 Kristen Hanna books, 2 Kristen Hanna-ings, and now I'm reading On Mystic Lake. Hang on, let me grab the dogs. On Mystic Lake starts off with Annie. Annie's daughter is going away to London for a few months. And Annie's having like all kinds of issues with that, and she's all, heartbroken, worried about being lonely, whatever. Well, then, within a few pages, we find out that Annie's husband of 20 years has been cheating on her, and he's divorcing her. So Annie's all broken up over these things happening in her life. So we follow her for a while. Well, then y'all, hang on, I'm in the dark. Come on, Muppets. And as usual, I don't want to tell too much for spoilers and the like, because I'm not really sure. I'm about, I don't know, more than a quarter, but I think less than a halfway into the book. And y'all know my fear of spoilers and giving spoilers, because I hate watching somebody's vlog and coming across a spoiler and being like, wait, why are you telling me that? But let me set y'all down so I can put my shoes on and talk. Annie's having this thing, right? Well, with Annie, we meet this little girl. And y'all, this little girl has just had the life. It's just the saddest thing. And we get the book is told from a third person omniscient perspective. So, all right, y'all go on. I gotta put my shoes on. So we know about and experience the characters' pains with them. So we deal with Annie's heartbreak. We deal with some other people's heartbreaks, but y'all, this little girl. And I will tell you, my concern is the Kristen Hanna-ing. I can't deal with being Kristen Hanna'd over this little girl. Like something happening to this little girl, I'm very, very concerned. Because she's gonna break your heart. I don't know why I'm doing this. I do not know why I'm doing this. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. So anyway, consider ourselves forewarned. I know that's not English. But I'm enjoying the book very much so far. Like I said, I'm somewhere between a quarter and a halfway through. I don't know. I read a bunch last night in bed, so I'm not sure exactly where I am. I fell asleep reading, of course. So I'm going to ride. I have a couple of hours to ride today. So I'm going to ride and read. And then I need to go back and work some more. And then I can read some more this afternoon. So I don't think I'm going to finish it today. Kristen Hanna writes thick books. And you can't just like charge through them like you can with a Janet Evanovich book, because they're not just bubblegum. You have to actually think about them and emote while you're reading. So I'm going to ride and emote some and read and then work. And then I'll check back in later and let y'all know how things are going. I'm going to finish the book. I'm not going to just stop. But I'm concerned. So that's all I'm going to say. I'm voicing my concerns. So let me go get on this. Get on with it, and I'll check back later and let you know how it goes. All right? See you in a little while. We're making good progress through On Mystic Lake, y'all. We got about 100 pages to go. getting more and more nervous because I have yet to get Kristen Hannah to buy this book. And y'all, while I was thinking about it, it occurred to me that in the other two, well, let me back up. I was thinking about how this book deals, sorry, y'all are super close to my head. There we go. How this book deals a lot with the death of mothers. And I don't want to say too much about that, but I was thinking about that and I was like, why do I feel like we've seen this in every other Kristen Hannah book that I've read? And I started thinking about other patterns in her books, and it seems like in both of her other books that I've read, there's like something sad that happens that maybe it's just me, but I didn't find it all that sad. And then there's this like thing that happens that breaks you in two and changes who you are. So I wonder if that's going to happen in this book. I thought about going back and looking in the other books and seeing how far into the book that happened and then where like the super tragic event happens, but I didn't do that. But in thinking about it, I do recall that those things were kind of staggered and they came in different places in the other books. So maybe it's going to happen, maybe it's not. Like I said, I have about 100 pages left to go. I'm going to work on those now. I think I should finish them this afternoon or this evening. I don't know if I'm going to vlog myself reading because it's ugly when I get Kristen Hannah, y'all. So I'm going to read. I will let y'all know. If nothing else, I will check back in at the end and let you know my reaction to the end of the book. All right, here we go. Morning, y'all. I finished on Mystic Lake last night. It took me a little longer than I expected because the intern came home and we were chatting and doing some things. So I finished it in bed, which is why I didn't come back and let y'all know. I got slightly Kristen Hannah, but let me tell y'all what happened. So something sad happened. There are probably trigger warnings for this book. So if you're going to read it and you're the triggery type, maybe check the trigger warnings before you read it. But there was that sort of what I thought was the less sad thing that happens, and then the sad thing that like changes your molecules comes up behind it. So the less sad thing kind of happened, and I was like, oh, here we go. She's setting us up. But then the other sad, the like changing your molecules sad thing never happened. So maybe that's not a pattern in Kristen Hannah books, or maybe she developed it after, I don't know. But I finished it. I did not get Kristen Hannah. So now I need to go back and think about what I really thought about the book, because the whole time I'm waiting to get Kristen Hannah, and I don't know that I was as judicious in my reading as maybe I should have been. I don't know, is that the word? Anyway, it's early in the morning. I am started, well, I barely started Jemima J last night. I don't know if I told y'all, I decided to read this instead of, I think I already put Summer People away. I don't even have it here to show you. I decided to read this instead of Summer People because, y'all, I am a devotee of Goodreads. I check the reviews of books on Goodreads all the time, and I like to read the 5-star and the 1-star reviews. So I don't really care about the ones in between, but I want to know why people loved it and why they hated it. Because sometimes the reason that people hated a book, I don't really care about. Like, I don't know, they hated it because the heroine rode horses and that's how she solved all the things. I don't care about that. So anyway, for some, was it Summer People? Is that what? Yeah, because I was making fun of Summer Teeth. Summer People, the very first review that I read was a 1-star review that said something like, I was attracted to this book because it was the dead of winter in Minnesota and I was drawn to the cover. And I was like, did I write this review? So then I said, okay, that's an omen. I'm not going to read this book. And honest to God, y'all, that's as far as I went. Plus, it was like a 2.5-star rating on Goodreads. So I decided to read Jemima J instead. I'm literally on like page 4. So I got all my work done quickly this morning. It is 6 a.m. It is 6:01. I have 30 minutes to read on the bike before my friends start their shows, and I have to stop reading and start watching them. So I'm going to go do that. I'm going to get into this. I have time to read throughout the day today. So I'll get into it and then I'll check in and let y'all know what I think. This book has some very mixed reviews. The main character, Jemima J, is overweight. I think she's referred to as morbidly obese. And She uses self-deprecating humor from what I understand, and some people don't like that. So let me get into it, see what I think, and I'll come back and let you know. Let's talk about Jemima J, y'all. I waited until I was completely done reading to talk about it for a couple of reasons. One, because I wanted to get all my ideas together, and because the opinions on Jemima J were so split that I kind of wanted to see where I fell. And really because, well, let me get into it and then you'll see. So I mentioned that Jemima J is overweight and that she uses self-deprecating humor about her weight. Well, there's more than that, y'all. She sees herself as a big person, and that's how she judges herself and how she judges her life. And at least in the beginning, she sees other people who are attractive and successful and not overweight. She sees them as being successful because of those other things, because they're thin and attractive and those things. And it's a little off-putting at first. So people that DNF'd this early on, I can totally see why they did that. And I think I told y'all, I read a review that's, I might not have told y'all about this. I read a 1-star review on Goodreads that said something to the effect of, all the bad reviews are from fat people, and I'm a fat person and I hate this book. And I get that, because Jemima J doesn't like being fat, and she wants to change it. This is very much, and I don't know if you can see this, but an ugly duckling becomes a beautiful swan story. So I think that people who enjoy that kind of story will enjoy this, and I'm trying to tread lightly. But I think that bigger people who are offended by that and who are offended by a person's big size being used as that thing, that sort of ugly duckling characteristic that needs to be turned into the beautiful swan, I see where somebody would find that offensive. I did enjoy the book. I liked the characters. I liked the characters a lot. I liked Jane Green's writing. Y'all, she's a prolific writer. I had no idea. She's got a ton of books. So I might go find another of her books and read it and see if I like it as much as I enjoyed this one. Jemima J is written in an alternating first-person omniscient perspective with some third-person omniscient thrown in. It's very interesting. It can be a bit of a slow burn at times, but overall I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the story. I think overall, if I were giving it a star rating, I would give it around a 3.5 out of 5. I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the development of the story, but I can definitely see how Jemima's attitudes and how they play into her decisions come across as offensive and could really hurt people's feelings. Y'all, if you're at all triggered by any kind of like binge eating issues, any kind of food issues, size issues, this is not the book for you. I think Jemima has some of those issues. I don't know that she's necessarily written that way. I realize she's a fictional character, so if she's not written that way, can she really have them? I think she presents characteristics of a person that has some binge eating issues, some eating disorder type issues. So if you're triggered by any of those kind of things, just stay away from this book. And y'all, really, that's why I rate it around a 3.5, if not lower. The number of warnings that would have to come with this book, I'm just not sure are worth it. Well, y'all, we read 3 of the 9 books that we hauled. That's not bad numbers. That's a third. Thanks so much for hanging out with me and coming along with me on this adventure. And thanks for coming to my channel. If you haven't already done so, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. I upload new food and fitness videos on Monday with book videos sprinkled in between. See you on the next one.